at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560. The Answer.
Let's get ready to rumble. We've got Ives versus Pritzker. Is it a cage match?
No.
No, it is a federal lawsuit that was filed about gerrymandering and redistricting. And, Jeannie, I'm doing my homework, as I always do.
Well, that's good.
Looking for stories. And not one local media station has picked up this story. I mean, you did have NPR Springfield, Bloomberg News, The Federalist, nationally, other publications have picked up the story. But, I mean, I'm just wondering if Pritzker paid off local media to keep it quiet and not discuss this lawsuit, because it's very important.
Craig Wall, Marianne Ahern, Chicago Tribune, they all have my email, my phone number, Daily Herald. They know how to reach me. No, it's been crickets. And this is one of the first major lawsuits at post Louisiana v. Calais, which essentially said that you cannot use race when you are building your district maps. And so here to talk about this lawsuit is my lawyer, J.Christian Adams. He's the president and general counsel of Public Interest Legal Foundation. Prior to joining the Public Interest Legal Foundation, he served in the voting section of the United States Department of Justice. He was a Trump appointed Adams to the Presidential Advisory Commission on Election Integrity. He also appointed him as a commissioner to the United States Commission on Civil Rights, where he also now serves with a term through 2025. I guess it's a little bit dated. He's been involved in election lawsuits in 33 states and the territory of Guam. And guess what? He adds Illinois to that list of states. So I'm so pleased to have them bring this lawsuit on behalf of me in the state of Illinois. And so he joins us right now. Thank you so much, Mr. Adams.
Good morning.
So tell us about this lawsuit and tell the listeners, rather, about the lawsuit and why this is important.
Right. 2 weeks ago, the Supreme Court issued a decision in Louisiana versus Calais, and the core of the decision was you can't use race to allocate power. In other words, you can't use racial criteria to decide who's in charge. And that's because of the 15th Amendment to the Constitution. It's been there since 1870. And the Supreme Court breathed life into it and said you just have to not use these things when you're deciding who's in charge.
So it's interesting because not shortly after finding out about our lawsuit in Illinois, Senator Eric Schmidt said, J.B. Pritzker called Calais an abomination. No wonder Illinois built one of the clearest race-based redistricting regimes in the country. And so explain why ours is so clearly race-based Voting Rights Act.
Yeah, because they had redistricting criteria in the code, in state law, that says you have to do this. It's right there in the statute that says when you draw district lines, it doesn't matter if it's for Congress, school board, whatever, that you have to use these now illegal criteria and create districts on the basis of race, which is exactly the opposite of what the Supreme Court said. And then Pritzker, your governor, went out and talked about it. Yeah, this is what we're doing. I mean, he gave up the ghost and admitted that they were doing this. So it's an incredible situation where Illinois is doing precisely what the Supreme Court just said was completely illegal 2 weeks ago.
It's also interesting that the Chicago media admits this. I mean, WTTW, after the 2021 maps were completed, said Democrats put premiums on drawing districts advantageous to their party, protecting the 1st, 2nd, and 7th districts designed to yield black representatives, despite a decrease in Illinois' black population, and creating a 2nd district that props up a growing Latino population to elect representation of their choosing. So everybody recognizes that they've been using race-based gerrymandering districts for a while now.
Well, I would guess that's why you're not hearing much in the Chicago newspapers, because they know they're like deer in the headlights. Like, oh no, what we have been thinking is good is in fact bad, and they're going through the psychological realization that their dreams of allocating power this way are dead.
Could you go back just before we go forward? I want to go back a little bit because, of course, Louisiana v. Calais came out of the 5th District Appellate Court. And prior to that, moving up to the Supreme Court, there was this Texas decision in the 5th District. And I really think it's important for people to understand why the Texas redistricting occurred in 2025. It was based on a different race-based district that was drawn in Texas, where they had a court decision saying, guess what? You need to redraw your map. So a lot of people are saying, oh, this is all Trump wanting more representations in Congress. And certainly that's probably part of why they're redistricting. But there was also this court case that I think people do not understand.
Yeah, it's an important case. It's called Pettaway versus Jackson. Pettaway versus Galveston. And in fact, I worked on that case. It's out of Galveston County, Texas. And they were drawing districts there. They're called coalition districts when you combine different races to create a political district. And the court in Galveston said, look, this is what the law is in Texas. We have to create these districts. So we appealed it to the Fifth Circuit. And the Fifth Circuit threw out that interpretation of the Voting Rights Act and said, you don't have to do this anymore. Well, that's what set off the dominoes. But guess what? That's exactly what Illinois does. It actually has a statute that says you have to do what the courts have said is illegal, that you don't have to do. So it's a bizarre situation where the law is way ahead of Illinois code, and it says this is illegal. You can't do this under the 15th Amendment. Don't forget, the 15th Amendment, guys, go look it up. It says you can't use race in creating voting rules. It's a great thing. It's moral. It's exactly what it ought to be. And that's unfortunately what Illinois is doing.
So do you think Illinois has become one of the most gerrymandered states in America?
Well, it's the most illegally gerrymandered. There's nothing necessarily wrong with political gerrymandering according to the Supreme Court. But when you start using race, it's illegal. You can't do it. It's, hello, did you guys miss the Civil War? Did you miss the Civil Rights Movement? That's the problem here, is you can't use certain illegal criteria.
Well, I'm reading from the actual statute. It is clearly based on race. It literally says representative districts shall be drawn to create crossover districts, coalition districts, and influence districts, and then it defines them. It literally says the phrase crossover district means a district where a racial minority or language minority constitutes less than a majority of the voting age population, but where this minority, at least potentially, is large enough to elect a candidate of its choice. Same thing with coalition districts. It's where more than one group of racial minorities. I mean, they use that term throughout the statute. It's clearly race-based. I predict that this outcome. I think that they should just, give up right now because it's so clear, and they have given up before when they found out that their minority teaching scholarship program was completely unconstitutional as well. They went to a settlement right away and changed the law. So what is your prediction here?
Look, it's illegal. It would be the same as if Illinois had a grandfather clause. Like, you're only allowed to vote if your grandfather got to vote. By the way, that case is called U.S. v. Gwynn. It's from Oklahoma in 1915. This is just as bad. You cannot make race the way that you allocate power. This country stands for that. That's why people marched across the Edmund Pettus Bridge in Montgomery, Alabama, and Selma, Alabama. That's why we had a civil rights movement, is to get race out of the picture. But Illinois puts it straight in the middle of the frame in their mandate to create racial districts. It's illegal. It's immoral. It's wicked. It's not what we're supposed to be about in America.
So what's the next step? Are you waiting for a response, or what happens?
Yeah, there'll be a response. They have a right to do that, obviously. I can't wait to see. Like, are you going to defend racial districts? What they'll do is they'll try to trim in Calais. They'll say, well, it didn't really say this. Good luck. Good luck if you want to take that to the Court of Appeals, too. Real good luck there. And super good luck if you want to go to the Supreme Court. This is an illegal racial mandate to allocate power in the state of Illinois. And by the way, it's not just legislatures, it's school boards, it's county boards, it's everything.
Well, so a lot of people have asked me, well, oh, okay, great. So the maps will be all thrown out and we'll have a new map before the 2026 midterms. That's not going to happen.
No, of course not. Look, I sued Guam because they didn't allow white people to vote in a plebiscite, status plebiscite for Guam. You only could vote if you were Chamorro, which is a race. And that case took 10 years, believe it or not. It went to the Ninth Circuit twice. So defenders of racial quotas and racial criteria are very dedicated to defending their wickedness. So don't expect them to roll over, because they're into this stuff, right? Like this is what drives them, what gets them up in the morning. Like, hey, let's do racial set-asides. After all, they fought in education and college admissions for how long? I mean, they're into it, right? Whole groups exist in Illinois because they believe in using race. So, don't think that they're going to give up easily.
Well, I don't think so either, because, of course, Pritzker called the Calais decision. We must call this for what it is, voter suppression that will silence black and brown voters. The magnitude of this decision cannot be understated. It guts the Voting Rights Act and its very purpose of protecting all voices. So, I mean, they're going to maybe double down on this. Good luck. Go ahead. We'll fight this all the way to the Supreme Court if we have to. And of course, this could not be more like bigger hypocrisy. I mean, Pritzker, when he ran in 2018, promised that he would have an independent commission draw the maps. He didn't do it. The Democrats drew it behind closed doors. The first map was thrown out because it used faulty voting data to begin with. Finally, they had their fourth map. And out of that fourth map, of course, you get Lauren Underwood reelected again. She represents a district that is 63% white, 9% black. She is a black congresswoman. We don't have a problem politically electing
white people
a
vote for black people. We
exactly.
put Obama in office twice.
Exactly. So this is stupid.
And guys, what you just said is more important than you might realize. If white voters are electing black candidates, that means you don't have racially polarized voting, and that's an element of the Voting Rights Act. I'm not going to get into the weeds on it, but if they can't prove racialized polarized voting, that blacks and whites won't vote for each other, then they're not allowed to use a racial remedy because they haven't proven a Voting Rights Act violation. That's the only time you can create a minority-majority district intentionally, is if there's a Voting Rights Act violation. And if whites are voting for black, there ain't going to be a Voting Rights Act violation. That's what makes this so wicked, is they just ignore the limits on race-based line drawing, and they just go all in and say, hey, draw on the basis of race. That's what makes it illegal.
Well, it's all race all the time down in Springfield. There's a number of laws that need to be challenged on the basis of race. And so I really appreciate you bringing this case forward. And you've got a long experience in this type of election challenges. And so thank you so much for, standing up for us in Illinois. I really appreciate it.
Having fun.
All right. Thank you so much, J.Christian Adams, President and General Counsel for Public Interest Legal Foundation. And he joined us on the Alpha Wealth Group Answer Line.
The more you listen, the more you'll know. This is Chicago's Morning Answer. Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
When the seasons shift, you need a heating and cooling team you can trust to keep your home just right. That's where Arlington